Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today we are going to be talking about the new Unreal Trial difficulty that is coming in patch 5.3, and why I'm quite excited to have it in the game as well. Now, it isn't all that great, because there are some things I don't like about it either, but I'm going to be talking about the positives first. So they're all trials, synced up rather than down, and this is something that I have been wanting for a very long time, because usually whenever you want to experience an old fight, you unsync it, and that makes it so that the fight just melts because of how much DPS you have right now, so you don't really get to experience all of the mechanics, and the ones that you do see, you don't care about as much because you can just tank through them, because your HP right now at level 80 is just so much higher than it was back at, let's say, level 50 or level 60. Now, I'm somebody that started playing about halfway through Heavensward, and that means that there were a lot of extreme trials that I not got to enjoy in their prime, so to speak. And this system would basically make it so that I can, without having to gimp my job because I'm syncing myself down, the boss is getting synced up instead, so I don't lose half of my abilities for wanting to play a like synced content, so to speak, at level 50 or something like that. Now, there's also a minigame attached to this, so that's just an added bonus. Back when Chloe's STEM book came out, I did enjoy that a fair bit as well. Now, I know that these are extreme primals, and these aren't really super hard content. Some may be more difficult than others, but for the most part they are very accessible. So I get the sentiment of, why do they need to be brought back? Why does the challenge need to be brought back up to our level? Because it's not the same challenge that you would get from an old Savage fight, which gave you a real challenge, something like Brute Justice or something like that. So I can get behind the fact that people don't really want this kind of content to be brought up to our level rather than something like raids. Now, I'm somebody that actually enjoys the difficulty of extreme primals quite a bit. You should be able to complete the fight with just about any group you find in Party Finder. The mechanics are not too difficult, but you still have to respect them to some extent, and because of this there's also not as much toxicity around like there can be during Savage raids, because in Savage raids, if people are constantly failing mechanics, they're not doing enough DPS, that kind of stuff, they might just get kicked out of the party, or the party might just get disbanded altogether, whereas in normal extreme primals, people usually don't do that as much, because it also doesn't matter as much that you have one or two bad players in the group, because easier mechanics, even if the mechanics are failed or people die, you'll still meet the DPS check, so it's usually not too much of a problem. So it just makes it so that I can jump into an extreme primal party playing just about any jobs and not have to worry about being a burden to the group. When I go into Savage, I often don't play certain jobs because either I don't have the latest gear on them, or I think that I'm not good enough on them, whereas for EX Trials I can just play whatever I want or whatever I feel like playing, as it doesn't really matter since the DPS check isn't that bad, neither are the mechanics, so you just have more time to focus on the gameplay and just having fun in general on said job that you are playing. Now, as for people that are against it, and I know that's using a little bit of a big word, but you know what I mean. So they're all trials, and they're basically just reskinning old content, so to speak, which is one thing that people might not like that much, because it's like, oh well, they're not putting new content in, it's just old content being revamped, so to speak. Now, they did say that we're going to be changing these fights a little bit as they brought them up to level 80, so who knows how much they will actually change about them, but people will still look at it as just being an old fight brought back. Now, add on top of that the fact that we've just had 2 raid tiers with all A Realm Reborn primals, and I can see why people wouldn't be all too excited about having Shiva being brought back already, especially since the current raid tier that is current right now has Shiva as the final boss in it. Now, also look at Titan. He's going to be having a normal, a hard, an extreme, an ultimate, and an Unreal version of him in the game eventually once that last one does come out, which is kind of crazy to think about. Those are 5 fights of just the one same primal, of course different mechanics, but it's still the same guy that we're talking about. Now, the last thing that I dislike, and this is my main issue with all of this, is that this is going to be time limited content. It won't always be available, and I'm someone that plays Destiny 2 where they also have seasonal content that is limited time content and even limited time weapons available in the game, and it's something that I really don't like, because why make content for it to disappear in a few weeks time, a few months time? To me, it just doesn't really make sense, and it makes it so that people will have a fear of missing out, FOMO, and that's something that's never good to have in your games. Now, I'm someone that's always been an advocate of taking breaks as being a very good thing. It prevents you from burning out on a game, and then when you come back, there is a wide variety of new content for you to enjoy, because you just took, like, let's say a 3-month break. During those 3 months, new content came out, and then you can just come back and enjoy all of that content in a few weeks, and then maybe take another break again, something like that. But if there is this content that is only available for a limited time, then this won't be the case. So I really hope that they reconsider this, or make it like cycle in and out on a regular basis. Just overall, I'm not really a big fan of limited time content, as it does create that FOMO, the fear of missing out, and just makes it so that people just want to stay subscribed to the game and basically not want to miss out on anything. So those are kind of my thoughts on the upcoming Unreal Trials. I am hopeful for the content to be enjoyable and to be pretty decent, whether it is for people like me that want to experience these old fights in their prime like they never were able to, or whether it is for veteran players to just go back into the old fights and just go back in with a feeling of nostalgia. Let me know what you think about them syncing up the fights to our level rather than syncing us down to the trials level. Do you think it's a good idea? Should they have done maybe some things different? Let me just know your opinions in the comments down below. But that's gonna be it for me. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my patrons for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.